I'm Dr. Chris Creighton, and in this video we'll talk about applications of systems of linear equations, particularly setting up this linear system of linear equations from a word problem. So the objective is you can build a system of linear models from a verbal description. So this is going to be like a word problem where it's going to describe a situation. You're going to need to set up 2 or 3 equations in order to solve it. So again, this video is going to focus on setting them up. Taking a look at this first example here, in this first example here, we have the statement: at a football game, the bottles of water at a professional football game, the cost of 2 bottles of water and 3 pretzels is $16.50. The cost of 4 bottles of water and 1 pretzel is $15.50. So we want to determine the cost of the water bottle and the cost of the pretzel. So looking at this, what I usually do in order to determine what variables we have, which we need to figure out what we're solving for, is look at the question. Determine the cost of a water bottle and the cost of the pretzel. So I'm going to say x is equal to the cost of water, and y is equal to the cost of a pretzel. So those are our 2 variables that we need to solve. Those are the things that we need to determine. I usually go and look at the last part, the question that's being asked, or what we need to answer to determine the variables, because usually it's in there. So next, we have essentially 2 things here. So we know the cost of 2 bottles of water and 3 pretzels is a total amount, and the cost of 4 bottles of water and 1 pretzel is a total amount. So if this is the cost of the water in a column, and this is the cost of a pretzel in the column, if we know that you buy 2 bottles of water, so this is 2 bottles, and you buy 3 pretzels, your total cost is $16.50. So I try to break this down into sort of data here. So this first row will be buying 2 bottles and 3 pretzels for the first row here. Likewise, to buy 4 bottles and 1 pretzel, so we have 4 there and 1 pretzel there, that costs total of $15.50. So if you buy 2 pretzels at a cost for X and 2 bottles for, so if you buy 2 bottles of water for a cost of X per bottle and 3 pretzels at a cost for Y, that will give us a total cost of $16.50. So as an equation, we get 2x, so that is the cost for the water. So for instance, if we find the answer is like $2 for a bottle of water, that 2 times x will give us a 4. That's the cost. Then we get plus a 3y for the cost of water. So you buy the pretzels and you buy the water. And so that is equal to $16.50. So this is in terms of cost. So each of this is in terms of dollars. Likewise, if you buy 4 bottles of water at a cost of x, that will give you a cost of 4x, depending on what x is, plus a 1y, because you bought only 1 pretzel there, and that costs a total of $15.50. So this is the system that we need to solve based upon this problem. Now we've reduced it down to a system of equations, and you can solve this via substitution or elimination or whatever method you believe is best suited for it. Now we have a total of $3,000 invested, part at 2% simple interest and part at 4% simple interest. If the total amount of return of the 2 investments is 100, how much is invested at each rate? So the question that we need to answer is how much is invested at each rate. And so I'm going to delineate these as rate 2% as a row across, and then the rate 4%. This is going to help us determine our data here. And then we have the invested amount here in the first one. And so the question is, how much is invested at each rate? I'm going to define X as the amount invested at rate 2% and the amount Y to the amount invested at the rate 4%. Now we have additional information, is our interest rate. So we have 2% here, simple of interest at 2. So the interest rate here is 0.02. Remember, percent means per 100. So when you're doing these problems, you're always going to have to write them as a decimal. Likewise, the 4% rate has an interest rate of 0.04. So 4%. And so now the question is, how do we tie this together? And this comes back to the basic idea here of simple interest. The formula for simple interest is the interest you receive on an initial invested amount called the principal P is the principal P times your interest rate as a decimal times time. And so here, the last bit of information is that this is going to be annual, so our time here is going to be 1 for both of them, which is really nice. We're just looking at our annual return here. And so we want to make a total investment here of $100. So over here, I'm going to have our interest as our last column, and then there's some other information here involving our total. So I'm going to make that a row down here. And it's sort of going like, okay, we're going to be totaling up some columns here. So the interest, using the simple interest formula here, is going to be X times 0.02, which is our rate, times our time, which is 1. So that is going to be nicely written as 0.02x. So, for instance, if you invest $1,000 at 2% rate, you will get $20 out. Likewise, you'll have 0.04 times y here for the interest on the 4% loan over the course of 1 year. So in total, looking at our interest over here, the total amount you gain from the two investments is 100 there. And so that will give us our first equation. It's going to be in terms of our interest. So this one here is 0.02x plus 0.04y, which is the interest on the 2% rate and the interest on the 4% rate. And the total interest you get out is $100. Digging back in again, we need a second equation. There's some other things here. What other information have we not used yet? And that goes back to this 300. A total of 300 is invested. Or sorry, 3,000. So you have 3,000 here as the total amount of investment. And so that gives us the second equation, which is our invested, which is x plus a y is equal to 3,000. So that gives us two equations in two variables, x and y. X is the amount you invested at 2%. Y is the amount you invested at 4%. And so solving this system will give us the amount invested at each rate. So solving the system will give us the amount invested at each rate. For a larger example here, we have three kinds of tickets that are available for a rock concert. You have levels A, B, and C. Level A tickets cost 10 more than the B tickets. The level B tickets cost 10 more than the level C tickets. And twice the cost of the level A tickets is 20 more than 3 times the cost of the level C tickets. So we want to find the price of each ticket. So in order to start this off, this is what we want to find, the price of each ticket. So I'm going to say x is equal to the price of level A, y, price of B, and then z is equal to the price of the level C. So those are the three variables that we want to find. We have an x, a y, and a z. So it should be noted here that as we have three variables, you will want to find three equations. So now we dig into each sentence. So So the first sentence here, level A tickets cost 10 more than the level B tickets. So if Y is the price of the level B tickets, the level A tickets is 10 more than that. So if we add 10 to the level B tickets, we get the cost of the level A tickets. So for instance, if the level B tickets cost $10, the level A tickets cost $20. So that gives us one nice equation there. Now, taking a look at the next sentence, the level B tickets cost 10 more than the level C tickets. So in this case here, if the Z is the price of the level C tickets, we have to add 10 to it to get the level B tickets. So those are two nice equations there. And then as the last equation that we need, we notice that the twice the cost of the level A tickets, so twice the cost of the level A tickets, is 10 more than 3 or 20 more than the cost of level C tickets. So we have 3 times the cost of the level C tickets, and we have to add 20 to that to get the cost of the level A tickets. So we have these 3 equations here. Now they're not set up in standard form. So the last step here, if you wanted to use elimination, is to put this into standard form, which will give us a minus x plus a y is equal to minus 10, minus y plus z is equal to minus 10, and then a 2x minus a 3z is equal to 20. So now we have our 3 equations in the variables x, y, and z. Solving these will give us the price of the level A, B, and C tickets for x, y, and z respectively.